Hello, Peter. Welcome to the fourth edition of the Data 2020 Summit here in Stockholm. It's really a pleasure having you with us and Nets representing. We always have someone from Nets, and it's really nice.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here as well.
Can you tell us more about yourself and your background?
Okay, maybe a little bit at least. I guess my everlasting interest in computer science started when my father brought home a small Rockwell computer in the late 70s when I was a teenager. So that's when it was.
Well, in the late 70s, a computer that was really...
That was no one I knew had a computer at that time. But I quite early started to lean more towards the I in the T. In IT, I mean, so the information. And the way you could process information was always the key. And in my when I studied at the University of Oslo, I was actually doing a thesis working on historical personal data. That's a long time ago, and I actually made a tailored database platform for that purpose. And later, I've been working as an IT consultant and IT manager, both as an architect, but also for many years. I've been specializing in data. Next to data management, I've also been working with process management, and enterprise content management, and I wanted to bridge these disciplines actually.
Awesome. Peter, you would agree that two of the main pillars, let's say, of the data management and that were much discussed today are master data management and data quality, apart from the governance, of course. So how are these two connected, and what are some of the main challenges?
First of all, I think I would say that managing master data is not very different from managing any other data, especially if it's data that has to be maintained. And managing data or data management includes several different disciplines that you have to attend to. There are many data disciplines. And you can say that data quality is one of those. Maybe the most important. Someone could even say that quality is not really a discipline by itself, but it's the ultimate target of all the other disciplines.
Yes.
But I like to keep quality also as a discipline, because you may utilize specific tools and technique to address quality more explicitly. And in addition to that, there are other goals and targets for data management than just pure quality. I mean, like retention, the reuse and sharing of data. So it's not only about quality.
Yeah, sure. So, Peter, you gave a talk on the master data management stage about data architecture models for master data management. Can you give us like a brief recap of the key takeaways that you included?
Well, I guess there were a couple of takeaways. One is to accept that you need to work with data architecture separately for each data domain. It's not one data architecture. You can have several very different data architectures in one company at the same time. As one data architecture for each data domain. That's one takeaway. Another takeaway is this introduction of models, generic models. Because you both need to understand what does your situation look like. And to be able to do that, that's a lot easier if you can compare it with models. Say that I have a Model 2 or I have a Model 3 architecture. And of course, to be able to discuss and decide on the target data architecture, that's also a lot easier if we have some agreed models that we can refer to, that we are heading towards Model 1 or heading towards Model 3. And the model can be visualized much more easily than just using words and terminology.
Back to the data quality, Peter. Which goal would you say is more profitable for a company when it comes to data quality? In this case, what's the case with you, with Nets?
Maybe the first part first. Of course, quality isn't profit in itself, but in which way quality contributes to profit.
Exactly.
I
That's
think there are multiple ways. They're very different as well, because quality is necessary for business, for generating money, and even there are sub areas for quality, or where quality is extremely important. Decision making is the obvious one.
Yeah.
You definitely want to base your decisions more on data than just storage filling. And then, of course, data is either part of, or it makes out parts of your products and services, which means that the service will suffer if the data is not correct.
Yes.
But then data is actually also turning into a product on its own. It can be sold. So data is a product. And if the quality is bad, well, then
The product is bad,
yes.
and it cannot be
So
sold.
the whole income side is extremely important. But there is also a cost side of this. And most companies waste, I think, a lot of time and money on inefficient ways of handling data. I mean, there's a lot of talk of automation here,
Yes.
and obviously automation is driven by data. And if the data
Good data.
is wrong, the robot or the automate or the process will obviously take wrong decisions or behave wrongly
Exactly.
as well. And also this waste. I mean, in most companies, I think many roles as people with a lot of education and high salary spends a considerable amount of time just by doing what you can call stupid data manipulation, sitting with Excel sheets and consolidating data in many different ways, spending quite a lot of time on something that should never take place in this way.
One last question, Peter. There was a lot of AI hype talks today and like AI future, and so. But what is your prediction when it comes to the near future? When it comes to this field?
I think the most important change is about us and not the technology. Data has never been seen as a real important resource by its own before. I mean, it hasn't been that way. It has been something hidden inside IT systems. And we have had different IT governance models. But they have one thing in common, and that is that they are all following the IT system map. I mean, all the roles and responsibilities in a typical IT governance model follows the IT systems. And that has been there for quite a while, and it's mature, and people know it, and it's working like that. But to introduce a completely new dimension for governance, like HR for human resource management. I mean, that's been for centuries, right? IT governance have been here for 50, 60 years. But to come along and accept that data is actually a dimension that stands on its own legs, it needs its own governance. It must be handled and managed also completely across the other dimensions. I think that change is now started to happen, and even if we are still early, I would say, I feel that there is a change, and only during the last couple of years this has changed. So, and I expect it to accelerate. I think maybe there will be at some point a switch So in the picture where today you have IT systems on top, and data is just something that following or it's owned by the IT system. Turn around 180 degrees, and we will start to think, we have this data, which system do we need to manage it? That's a complete mental change. The data stays and the system comes and goes. But today it's a bit different. If you have a data problem, in many cases people would choose just to change the IT system and think that would solve the problem.
Peter, thank you very much. Thanks for joining the summit, and thanks for conducting this interview with me. It was my pleasure.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's been